We're in this open woods of the early spring time up here on the top of the mountains, and we're finding hobblebush or witch hobble in bloom. It blooms as the leaves are coming out. So if you look, this is a flower cluster, and you see the leaves with the flower cluster are already expanded. But if you move back along the stem, the ones that don't have flowers with them are still sort of unfolding, and almost they're still like just opening up. They almost look cup-shaped because they're still opening. If you look on the undersides of the leaves, they have a sort of gray, almost a rusty gray or yellowy gray, dense mat of hairs or felt of hairs. That's another characteristic of this plant. So this is the hobblebush. It's in the genus Viburnum. It is Viburnum lantanoides, and it's called lantanoides because it looks like lantana. Lantana has, if you remember, has a cluster of flowers. Usually the buds are closed and the outer flowers are open. Well, in this plant, what you see opened up are not really going to be the same as the ones on the inside, because these outer flowers that are so showy are actually sterile. They are not going to have pollen or a pistil that forms seeds. Only those little tiny flowers on the inside that are not showy will produce the pollen and the ovules. So these sterile flowers out here are expanded and enlarged to attract pollinators to the cluster. Now, this species differs from other similar species with this same shape of leaf by the fact that they have these sterile flowers out here that expanded. The other species that would look most similar to this in the genus Viburnum do not have those sterile flowers on the outside. They only have the smaller flowers on the inside, so it's just a cluster of small flowers. This bush, as you can see, is sort of lanky or gawky, you might say. So if you follow it back, you'll see it has a very slender trunk, and the branches coming off are sort of twisted and wander here and there. And if you look down toward the base, you'll see that there is one of the main stems is bent down to the ground and then arching back up. Now what's interesting about this is that those branches that are on the ground can actually root. So that's why it's called hobblebush, because when you try to walk through woods where these are really dense, there are all these branches that are arching from one part in the ground to the next part where they're rooted, and they keep hobbling you or catching your feet. So if you have an area that's really dense with these, it's difficult to walk through it. So look for that in the early spring in the mountains.